He couldn't walk anymore until his grandson cracked an old recipe in their kitchen. Walter had always been strong. A Vietnam vet, a retired woodworker, a grandfather of 7, he built his own porch with nothing but cedar planks and a hammer at the age of 69. But by 78, Walter's knees had betrayed him. The pain came quietly at first. Then one morning he collapsed while trying to put on his slippers. The doctor's words were blunt. "You'll need a walker for the rest of your life. The cartilage is gone. The inflammation is severe. There's not much else we can do." That night, Walter sat silently at his kitchen table, his knees wrapped in bandages, a heating pad buzzing under the tablecloth. He didn't cry, but something broke inside him. That's when Luke, his 22-year-old grandson, decided to do something most people wouldn't. He pulled down an old cookbook, one that had belonged to Walter's late wife, Martha. Hidden between pages stained with grease and cinnamon, there was a handwritten note. It was Martha's handwriting. 2 ingredients, nothing more. Luke looked at his grandfather, then at the recipe. "Grandpa?" He said, "I think we should try this." Walter smiled weakly. "It can't hurt more than what I feel now." What happened next over the course of just 5 days would not only surprise Walter, but also shock his doctor and inspire thousands who'd given up on their knees. Let me show you exactly what they discovered. Most people don't realize just how complex the knees really are. They aren't just bones hinged together, they're marvels of biological engineering. At the center of it all is the meniscus, a crescent-shaped cushion of cartilage that absorbs shock and helps the bones glide smoothly as you move. Each knee carries nearly 80% of your body weight every time you stand. Every step, every bend, every climb puts enormous pressure on this delicate structure. And over the years, especially after age 60, wear and tear starts to show. If you've ever felt that dull ache when rising from a chair, or that sharp twinge walking upstairs, that's your knee crying out. The meniscus becomes thinner, the joint fluid dries up, ligaments stiffen, and the pain becomes a constant whisper or a roar depending on the day. What makes it worse is that knees get very little blood supply. That means they heal slower than most other parts of the body. So when damage occurs, the body struggles to repair it. Most people respond with pills or even injections. But very few stop to ask, what does the knee actually need to heal? That's the question Luke asked when he read Martha's note. The answer wasn't surgery. It wasn't another drug. It was something far simpler and far more natural. Before we reveal the exact ingredients, let's talk about why common treatments often backfire and what your knees are silently begging you to stop doing today. Walter had tried the usual route. His medicine cabinet looked like a small pharmacy: ibuprofen for pain, naproxen for inflammation, a few topical creams, and even a bottle of prescribed opioids he never dared to open. "I just want to walk to the mailbox," he told his doctor once, "not run a marathon." But here's the problem. Most over-the-counter painkillers don't treat the root of the issue. They numb the pain, but they don't rebuild the knee. Worse, they come with a heavy price. NSAIDs like ibuprofen can damage the stomach lining, raise blood pressure, and strain the kidneys, especially dangerous for those over 60. Long-term use has been linked to ulcers, heart issues, and even cognitive decline in some cases. And steroid injections, they offer temporary relief but can weaken cartilage over time. Walter had been caught in this loop. Pain, pill, brief relief, more pain, stronger pill. Each time he felt like he was losing a piece of himself. That's when Luke said something simple yet powerful. Maybe your knees don't need to be silenced. Maybe they need to be listened to. That's what shifted everything, because instead of masking the pain, they decided to help the knees heal. The note in Martha's cookbook was barely legible. Faded ink, yellowed paper, but the 2 words stood out clearly: yolk, salt. That night, Luke grabbed an egg from the fridge and a jar of sea salt from the pantry. He cracked the yolk into a bowl and sprinkled in a generous pinch of salt. They stirred it gently, just enough to blend, not cook. "Are you sure this isn't breakfast?" Walter chuckled. Luke smiled. "Just trust me." He dipped a cloth into the mixture, applied it directly to Walter's swollen knees, then wrapped the entire joint with clear plastic wrap. It felt warm, soothing even. Walter closed his eyes and whispered, "Feels like someone's holding my knee." They left it on for 2 hours, then rinsed it off with lukewarm water. They repeated this 4 times a day: morning, afternoon, evening, just before bed. By day 2, Walter noticed something. The burning sensation had dulled. By day 3, the swelling had visibly reduced. On the 5th day, something happened that no one expected. Walter stood up unaided and walked to the front porch. When his doctor examined him the following week, he was speechless. "What did you use?" he asked, flipping through Walter's old x-rays in disbelief. Walter shrugged. "Just what my wife left behind. What made this remedy work so fast? Science may finally be catching up with what grandmothers have known for centuries. Turns out egg yolk contains rare oils and micronutrients that can penetrate skin and nourish joints directly. And salt, especially sea salt, is rich in potassium, which reduces inflammation and enhances cellular hydration. Together, they don't just mask the pain, they help the knees begin to repair themselves." On the 5th morning, Walter did something he hadn't done in over a year. He stood up, without bracing against the chair, without reaching for his cane, without pain. Luke, watching from the kitchen, froze with a coffee mug in hand. "Grandpa," he whispered. Walter didn't answer. He took one slow, careful step, then another, and then he walked. From the living room to the hallway, turned, walked back. Tears welled up in Luke's eyes. Walter just grinned. "Well, I'll be damned," he said. "Looks like Martha's still looking after me." Later that afternoon, he sat on the porch steps, those same cedar steps he built years ago, and watched the birds, something he hadn't done in months, because climbing those stairs had felt like scaling a mountain. The swelling was down, the tightness gone, the pain almost a memory. When his doctor saw him walk into the clinic unassisted, he leaned back in his chair and laughed. "I told you surgery was your only option," he said. "Clearly you proved me wrong." Walter didn't gloat. He just nodded. "Sometimes, doctor," he said, "the body doesn't need fixing. It just needs reminding." Word spread quickly. A neighbor tried it, then a friend from church. Within weeks, half the congregation was walking around with plastic-wrapped knees and hope in their hearts. For Walter, it wasn't just about mobility. It was about dignity, independence, being able to walk to the mailbox, water the garden, hug his granddaughter at eye level instead of from a chair. All that from an egg and a pinch of salt. Walter's story didn't end with the egg yolk and salt. As he continued to improve, he and Luke explored other natural ways to support his knees, and what they discovered turned into a daily healing routine that many others now follow. First, ice therapy. Simple, effective, and often overlooked. Walter would fill a small Ziploc bag with crushed ice, wrap it in a thin towel, and press it gently over his knees for about 20 minutes. He did this twice a day, once in the morning, once before bed. Why it worked. The cold, constricted blood vessels reduced internal swelling and numbed any lingering pain. It was like pressing a reset button for inflammation. Second, mustard oil. This old remedy from generations past made a surprising comeback in Walter's home. Luke bought a bottle from a local Asian market. Every night before bed, he'd warm a tablespoon of the oil and gently massage it into Walter's knees. Mustard oil is known to improve circulation, draw heat to the area, and reduce joint stiffness. Walter called it his liquid gold. The secret: consistency. Walter didn't skip days. He didn't look for overnight miracles. Instead, he embraced these rituals as acts of care, the same way someone brushes their teeth or waters their plants. His knees began to feel more like his own again, not foreign, not broken, but alive. And the best part, these natural helpers don't require a prescription, a trip to the hospital, or a warning label. Just a little time, a little patience, and the belief that healing is still possible even in your 70s or 80s. As Walter sat on his porch one breezy afternoon, he looked out over the garden his wife once tended. The rosemary bush still thriving, the old bird bath chipped but proud, and his knees no longer screaming, no longer swollen, just quietly holding him upright as if nothing had ever gone wrong. "I used to think healing had to come in a pill bottle," he told Luke. "But sometimes it comes in a bowl in your kitchen." That simple mixture, egg yolk and salt, became more than just a remedy. It was a reminder that nature still holds answers modern medicine sometimes forgets. It reminded Walter that even when doctors say it's over, the body may just be waiting for a reason to begin again. It reminded Luke that the wisdom of our elders, written in fading ink and forgotten notebooks, still has the power to change lives. And it reminded everyone who heard Walter's story that healing is not about magic. It's about listening, trying, trusting, and giving your body the tools it needs to remember how strong it really is, even if that tool is as humble as a kitchen spoon. If you've ever looked at your knees and thought, I guess this is just part of getting old, Walter's story is your answer. It doesn't have to be. You don't need to spend hundreds on creams or injections. Sometimes healing starts with a conversation, a memory, or a recipe tucked away in a family cookbook. If this video gave you hope, or even just a new idea to try, share it with someone you love. A friend who's struggling to walk, a neighbor who's tired of taking pills, a parent who just wants to feel steady again. Drop a comment below and let us know. Have you ever tried a natural remedy that worked better than expected? And if you want more simple science-backed solutions to feel better after 60, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. We believe healing doesn't stop with age. It begins with belief. So keep moving, keep hoping, and maybe, just maybe, try checking your kitchen before you check your medicine cabinet. Your knees might just thank you.